So you've just taken or received your results for an employee opinion survey or an engagement survey. Now what do you do? Hi, my name is Shelley Smith. I'm the owner of Premier Rapport, where culture matters. Today, let's talk about what do you do now that you have your survey results. So whether it was your first, if it was, not whether, if it was your first time, it's going to be a little different than if it's your second time. But let's talk about what you do with the results regardless. The first thing is hopefully you've set up all of your questions in a manner that they're relevant, meaning you're actually willing to do something about the results. If you find out that you're being a rock star in an individual department or with a leader, or maybe it's a particular question that you ask for, be ready to celebrate that and keep doing it and keep rocking it out. Just as much as if you've asked a question but it's a question that you really don't want to do anything about because you really were afraid of the feedback, then you probably shouldn't ask that question to begin with. And that can be a whole nother conversation. But regardless, you have your results. Now what? The first thing you need to do is sort them in order. So again, hopefully the assessment that you've used or the person that you've used will help you in the sorting process. It's always great to be able to sort them by division, affiliates, units, again, leaders, departments, and so forth, as well as any other statistical male, female, length of service, type of things that you want to know as well, depending on what it is that kind of deep dive you're trying to get into it. But on a high level, you want to sort them by ranking of questions. So either top to bottom or bottom to top, because you want to see where your top 20% or 10% that you're rocking it out, what are those things? And as much as you want to see the bottom 20% and that sweet spot sort of in the middle. So if it's your first time, you may not necessarily have a benchmark unless you're using a benchmark research of the industry or something that you found online or the person that you're helping with it. You should have some sort of a benchmark or a goal that you're looking for with your results so you can zero in on the areas that you want to look at. Now, the first thing I want you to do is do the ranking that we talked about. Top results to lowest results in order. The second thing that I want you to do is pull out um, the um, the items or the areas of how many are actually below like a 70% mark and see how much of that is going on. What I don't want you to do is take the entire amount and look at the average and go, oh, we were hoping to get, an overall of 75 and we're at 72. We're doing actually pretty good. The overview, do I always do an overview at the end? I do. But the reality is you want to look at the areas and what do those answers circle around. So typically, communication or benefit compensation or something with the leadership piece is in there, or maybe it's a community give back piece, but you want to sort of separate those out once you look at the lower pieces. The bottom line, if it is your first time, you're looking at the biggest opportunity to make the impact. So that 80-20 rule, go to the bottom, look at the ones that were scored the lowest, focus on 1, 2, 3, or 4 of those. There's generally a theme behind them. Find the theme. And then from there, go into validation mode. What do we mean by validation mode? So we ask a question, but oftentimes when we ask a question, we have a thought around the question in our minds, but the people who actually took it may have been thinking something else. So the first thing you need to do is validate it. Pull some small group discussions together with some folks that took it. And if you are multiple divisions, you want to be able to separate those out and validate those as well. So if you're a first-time taker, that's what you're going to do. You're going to look at the results. You're going to categorize them top to bottom. You're going to go to your bottom portion, and that's where you want to start the validation. From there, you have your focus groups, and then from there, you put plans and actions together. And you noticed all of that included groups of people. Groups of people who are actually the ones who are taking the survey and who your end users are that you're trying to up the engagement or up the satisfaction piece. Don't forget to celebrate the things that you were successful at as well. And Don't forget to report out the results and do them on a very timely manner. Let your entire group know we have the results. We're going to take 2 weeks, 30 days, whatever, to actually disseminate those results. And then we're going to give you an overall summary of where those results are and then what our next steps are and our next steps and our next steps. Because if not, there's really no need to even do the survey to begin with. You do more damage than you do good. So that's if you're a first timer. If you have previous results and hopefully you're asking the same questions or generally the same questions, well then you already have some benchmarks and you should have already established some goals of what you wanted to do to improve from time over time, right? So again, you're going to go through the same process of ranking, but now we're going to rank and we're going to compare to previous. And then again, we're going to do something about it. The worst thing you can do is to take it and do nothing. The second worst thing you can do is to take it, validate it, and then do nothing. And then ask for more opinions and to get it sidetracked. So if you're going to do it right. Do something with it, and then let people know what's going on with it. So if you're doing a compensation survey because of the results, let your group know we're going to take a compensation review, and oh, by the way, we will share that summary with you. So again, if you don't want to know the answer, goodness gracious, please don't ask the question. All right. So there's all kinds of things that you can do with surveys, but I get a lot of phone calls about obviously setting up surveys. How many questions should I ask? What type of questions should I ask? Who should be involved? How much should I separate it out? So on and so forth. So I just thought that I would give you some tips around that. So oftentimes I'm brought in on the very beginning, and sometimes it's after the results are there and helping to disseminate that. But again, the key is looking at the order. What is the benchmarking before or within your industry, and what are we going to do with it, and then putting together a communication strategy plan. So lots more about it, but that's enough to sort of get you going today. Sorry for the little rant on that, but again, my name is Shelley Smith. I'm the owner of Premier Rapport. Culture matters is my tagline. I am your culture curator. Everything that I do circles around culture. I'm always looking for culture hackers that want to move into culture curators, those who are really seriously driven about culture within their company and the impact that it makes. Because remember, if your employees aren't happy, neither are your shareholders, I bet. My name is Shelley Smith. Please feel free to contact me for more information. You can see all of my information below here as well. Until then, have a great day. And remember, people matter, culture matters.